Welcome. Welcome to me, yes, the Fume Foreman, Yann, me, on Follow Everton. Thank you for coming on to dissect what is so frustrating. Thanks for joining. We are live on Follow Everton to dissect, I don't know. Well, we all watched it. We're waiting for Ryan to join us. Thanks for joining us, everyone. All the usual faces. Yeah. A post-match reaction. I'm trying to be polite and not say swear words. We're going to be joined, hopefully, by Ryan, who was at the match. Amy is currently trying to get online. Geof is having internet troubles. So for the time being, I am going to try and not to pull my hair out. There's plenty of positives and there's plenty of negatives, I think. If that was a result that was earlier in the season, well, we might be saying, oh, we can get some points away from a relegation contender. But as it is, they're not. But yeah, as Robbie just said, Barry said, not a bad point, but a point isn't really enough in our position. That's my point. It's so frustrating to think that we fought so hard. We scored 2 goals, and yet we also gave away a lead twice. We got a penalty, which is unheard of. And I know I might sound like a broken record, but what really did it for me was the turning of the tide in the second half. Not just the fact that we weren't responsive immediately to a triple substitution where they brought on 3 attackers, but yeah, it does feel like 2 points lost. When you come from a losing position and you get a draw, it feels like a win. When you go from a winning position twice to walk away with a draw, it feels like a loss. Yeah, but as James says, points could prove crucial at the end of the season. It's a point. It's a point. It's a point. But my point is, and I don't know whether you guys feel about this, yeah, we could have had 2 pens. I don't know what the argument being that Coleman, oh, there was a kick of legs, but he was in front of the man. Yeah, they were there for the taking. But I think that the frustrating thing is we've got plenty to talk about in terms of dissecting the swing of the game in the second half. I really thought that the refereeing was fantastic in the first half and then absolutely appalling. That we could have had, well, I've got my notes here, hastily scrawled while I was glued to the screen, and especially in the second half, end-to-end stuff. There was a bust-up twice. Coleman was fouled and Gray was pushed, and yet there's no equal yellow cards. Tarkowski, in the replay, made 0 contact. How does that justify being a yellow card? So maybe he's holding off for the second, well, that led to their second goal. Gibbs White on Onana. Gibbs White is on a yellow, and he doesn't get a yellow card. Gay is fouled by Dennis. A clear foul, and we don't get it. And then at the end, Dennis, where's his yellow? It's appalling. In the second half, we weren't, Dave Weston has said, ref has totally bowed to the crowd. Gray did miss a sitter to make it 3-1, which was so very frustrating at the end of the first half. I just feel Decore could have played it forward, but he was trying to hold on to possession. I don't think you can blame him for that, because if a player is going to intercept, it's almost an unforced error if you've got your back to it. I think we sat back, and with Tarkowski being on a yellow, it's frustrating. Ryan is trouble having signal, so. But yeah, thanks for joining us. It was absolutely. The refereeing, as I say, it might sound ridiculous, but it was absolutely pathetic in terms of the second half. The bowing to the crowd, as somebody said, Dave Weston, usual Dave. And we are joined by Geof.
Hello, mate. You're right.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm gutted. Yeah. Genuinely gutted. I'm just using my phone for a bit until other people join you. So I just thought I'd come on for the phone. It overeats after a few minutes, but I'm gutted.
What do you want to talk about? I mean,
this was. For the most part, we played well. I can't criticise the players. We looked really good in patches. We had a few moments where they looked quite good. If we weren't in the position we were in, I would be happy with this result. I would say a point away from home. We played well. I'd be overall happy, but we're still in the bottom three. We've played a game more than our rivals, and we're running out of games. And this
winnable games.
Yeah, winnable games are short on the ground now. We've got to play City, United, Chelsea away, Spurs. There's a lot of tough games, and winnable games are thin on the ground. And like I say, we played a game more than our rivals now, and we're still in the bottom three. So it's getting scary now. But I can't go out and criticise like too much, because. And I know there was a bit of a mistake from Decore that led to the equaliser. He lost the ball, but he was tired and he run himself ragged, and he played really well. And to be fair, most of the team played really well. All of the team played really well. A couple of moments cost us the 3 points. But it's one of those where how do you criticise players who gave everything? They gave everything. They had chances to score more goals. They created opportunities. And to be fair, that Brennan Johnson, he is a quality player. We looked at him. Obviously, if they hadn't gone up, we might have been able to sign him in the summer. And he looks a player. He really does look a player. So yeah, overall, it was a good point away from home, from the point of view of just like, getting points away from home is difficult for any team, and they're good on their own patch. So, I'm so gutted, but I'm proud of the performance. I'm proud of the players. We gave everything and we played well.
Yeah,
I'm devastated. I'm devastated by the loss. Well, it feels like a loss. It feels like a loss
because we gave away a lead twice. I think Keane played very well. Godfrey played very well. Gay played very well. Iwobi and Gray both played very well. Unfortunately, they were tired, and I don't necessarily want to blame Dyche because when they made the triple substitution and brought on all attacking players, we didn't necessarily respond immediately, because at that point we were 2-1 up, and we'd repeatedly taken charge of the game and even managed to defend quite well. So it becomes difficult. I can see in the wings, we are waiting to be joined by Ryan, who is having a bit of trouble at the moment. I think the signal in Nottingham mustn't be great.
No. That's why I couldn't join you, because I knew you were on your own, and I just thought, well, I'll come on for as long as I can. My phone tends to overheat if I just run it on.
Well, do you mind me asking, when you're going on this, when you're joining our streaming service, what website are you using? What app are you using? Because I'd recommend using Chrome.
Do this another time, mate. Do this another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. I mean, points from today. Like Godfrey looked really good at left back. I know Mikalenko was only not playing because he was ill. But we looked better with Godfrey at left back. That's a fact. We did. Keane played pretty well. Tarkowski played pretty well. Coleman's looking revived recently. He's looking like the player he used to be for the most part. He's been really good. Garner Gay was much better this week. Thought Onana was pretty anonymous. I don't remember him really having much involvement in the game.
Let me ask you, Geof. Everything. By the way, thank you everyone for joining us. Loads of regulars and a few people that maybe in my little temporary absence I don't recollect. But some of the usual: Stu, Rob, everything Everton, even Everton Rose is in here. It's
Hey up, Rose. How are you doing, Shot?
Send Geof a message if you do want to hop on.
Yeah, I would. No, I wouldn't have taken a point before the game. We needed 3 points today. like I said, in a normal season, if we were sort of sat in a safe, comfortable position in the league, would they have taken a point from this game beforehand? Yeah, obviously, a point away from home is always a good result. And the Premier League's tough. And they've got some really good players. Look at their bench. Look at the players they brought on. So, yeah, like I say, outside of the circumstances that we're in, would they have taken a point before this game? Yeah. But in the situation we're in,
exactly
in the situation we're in, we needed 3 points today, because 3 points today and 3 points against Brentford, and with the difficult games coming up, you give yourself a chance. But that was a chance to get to a point behind Forest.
Do you think? I was saying for a while that Iwobi and Gray were both knackered, and it took 5 or 10 minutes for Dyche to maybe notice that and substitute them. Do you think that? Do you have any comments on the substitutions?
You could tell the players were tired, but realistically, when you look at the bench for options, they're poor, aren't they? That's the problem. Is our crappy owners have left us in a situation where, when Sean Dyche looks at the bench, all he sees is a drop in quality, and the players were a bit tired, but they were still playing quite well, and we were still creating chances. And it's like, while you've got players like Gray on the pitch, and while you've got Decore doing long busting runs, you've got a chance to get that third goal. As soon as you take them off, we didn't look threatening at all again after that. We didn't look threatening in remotely.
In light of that, it was interesting to see the first, as Chris said, to see the positional freedom of the front five. And I'm not going to blow my own trumpet here or wax lyrical, but I did say that with that lineup that we'd see, we were probably going to be seeing that more control of the ball, working it in and around and across the front and into the channels. And we didn't hammer in the crosses. I mean, obviously, you've got to play a game of football and play the crosses. But yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's one of those where, in many respects, that's as good as I've seen us play. Even including the Arsenal game, because realistically we didn't look as good. We got a result again the Arsenal game, and the same in the Leeds games, but we actually looked like we knew what we were doing today. We had a structure to us. We played quickly up to the front people. We had. We put them under a lot of pressure and created opportunities. The one where Gray was in at the far post, and I thought, oh God, he's going to score. And the defender was there, and he hit it straight at the defender, and it was like just either side of him.
Straight at him. It hit his foot. He was trying to go for next to the post. I do understand that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. But it's close margins, isn't it? And that's the thing. And if we weren't, this is where you look at, and I'm going to take it back to the board again, because I can't not take it back to the board again. Frank should have been sacked after the Bournemouth debacles, and if he'd have got sacked then, I think we'd be all right. I think we'd be in a much better position now than we are, because we've thrown away points, winnable points, against the teams around us at the bottom that we could have done something against. Even without adding other players, he's clearly brought a level of competitive and organisation and fight that we didn't have before. So you can see the clear improvement, but bringing him in on one day to go or 2 days to go before the window shuts, and not being able to sign anyone and getting rid of Gordon, they basically they've basically screwed him over, and he's doing the best he can. And I think he's getting a level of performance out of the players that didn't happen under Lampard. But we left it far too late to make the change.
But
and we're paying for it.
As Mr. Blue Sky says, we can't keep going back, Geoff. We are where we are.
I know, but it's one of those where how do you not apportion the blame where it belongs? We know where the blame belongs, and these players are giving everything now. They are, and they're much better organised.
We've got a Forest fan in here. Welcome, Chris. We do always welcome the opposition in. Nice, friendly place that we try to be, even if we're angry Blues. He says this is a massive miss for you. Don't think you'll get a better chance to get 3 points. Just glad that Forest didn't lose. It feels like a win from a draw for ourselves, but a lose for you. Yeah. But I do think there are lots of positives. It depends in the context you wanted to say it. And we've got Ryan joining us, who's in the car, ready to drive back. Hopefully a very ambivalent journey for you. But I understand that we're balancing it, because we could talk about a great performance, but 2 points dropped. An increase in this. We've seen some change in our style of play. We dominated part of the game when most of the time we've just been absent and just 11 people filling up a space. We could argue about the refereeing. We could talk about the tired players. The lack of substitutions. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ryan? Thanks for joining us.
Disappointed, obviously. I think a draw was a fair result in hindsight, but you shouldn't be drawing games when you've got the lead twice. I think from a position of strength, we neither shut up shop or went for the third goal. We kind of just did nothing, went through the motions, and then Decore gives the ball away. And it's the transition again, where we leave too much space, and it's a simple goal, equalising. And the away fans were frustrated because we stopped playing in the second half. In the first half, we were for large spells of the game. That's probably about 80% of the half. We were the better team, and we had opportunities. And Damari Gray as well should have scored late on in that half to get the third goal, which I think would have been game over. Because I didn't think Nottingham Forest were very good. I didn't think their atmosphere was that good, or there was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to worry about, really. And we let them back in. We let them back in. We should have carried on, got the third goal. Instead, we let them back in the second half. We did neither. Or from my perspective, I think Coleman played very well, didn't put a foot wrong. Godfrey grew into the game after a rash first half. But
I don't think you can blame Pickford for either of those goals either.
I haven't seen him back, but I really wasn't impressed with Amadou Onana. I don't quite know what he is or who he is.
But Ian Clark summed it up pretty well. It's been better. Godfrey will be better for the 90 minutes in his legs. Onana was quiet. Garner should have come on, absolutely. I was going to save that for the ace up my sleeve, even though I'm not wearing long sleeves. The ref was very weak in the second half. We gave them the ball for the second, absolutely, with Decore, and then we sat back. There was sort of a defensive thing. And I think that what contributed to that is Tarkowski sat off because he was already on a yellow and didn't want to give away a penalty or something.
No. There's a refusal to engage. The first goal is completely avoidable. Decore's jogging back. Onana and Garner have to come across. They didn't. One of the centre-backs has to step up. They didn't. No one engaged. And then it's parried out. Where's the left back? Who's reading the situation? Very poor. And the same for the second goal, really. It's just so easy. The penalty for me was a clear pen. And the second goal with Decore, that comes purely because we got numbers into the box to cause a threat. And I think in the second half, that faded. We did control the ball well. We waited for opportunities to get down the sides of them, but we didn't have the focal presence. And that's why I'm criticising Onana, because I think Onana, is he to get forward and to get in the box there, or is he just is he just a passenger? And Decore again faded for me. We've got no options on the bench. We should have had someone.
But do you not think that Decore faded because he played very well, and we're seeing it towards the end of the matches. We're seeing the results for a policy of at the club of not having Monday's training and a lack of fitness, which we've talked about before. There was a lack of strength and training and fitness, and the attitude that seemed to. We didn't really focus on it that much.
He's been asked to do a lot. He's being asked to do a lot, and he faded. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't have anyone on the bench. He did eventually.
I mean, you've got to
bring on
remember the midweek
Davis.
game as well. There was a game midweek, so you know
we brought on Tom
that's always going
Davis.
to take some.
Davis is insistent on winning a foul in dangerous areas instead, when he actually should just hold off. I just want to say one more thing before I let you get on with it. The referee was bloody awful.
Who? You cut out. Who was bloody awful?
The referee was bloody awful. He was inconsistent. So you'd get a small tap on your back or whatever, he'd let it go, or he'd decide to pull up every single time there was a slight bit of contact. And then he'd go the complete opposite, and you'd have Demarai Gray getting ciphered and hacked and basically abused by defenders unfairly, and then getting nothing. So
that's my point. Fool. There was no yellow for Shelby on McNeil for the penalty. There was no yellow for Colbeck, who repeatedly fouled, and he stamped, well, maybe accidentally, but he stood on Demarai Gray's ankle as he stood on Demarai Gray's ankle.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an accident. I'm not going to criticise that one particular one. That was just literally an accident. But yeah, I mean...
Can you still hear me? Because I'm having a bit of issues with
Demarai Gray was... Yeah, you might need to look. Demarai Gray was a breath of fresh air up front. And all that happens, he gives you a little bit more control in the build-up. And the thing that was just annoying was when he did vacate the space to help create and make the runs, there wasn't really anyone supporting him.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of those where I can sit here and nitpick the performance, and I can highlight certain things that weren't as good as they could be, or certain mistakes and whatever. But realistically, I still think overall that's probably one of the best performances we've done this season. If you actually look at it, is for the most part we defended well. For the most part, we played attacking football. We created opportunities. We caused a threat.
You're right. I don't disagree with you.
You know, it's one of those situations where you kind of think to yourself, well, what more could we have really done? I mean, we had a couple of chances that maybe we could have done better with, but then, you know, it's one of those. You can also give credit to the opposition. You know, they made some good last-ditch tackles. They made some good defensive. There was one where Iwobi was through, and he kind of, the defender come across and made a really good tackle, when he was almost through on goal. And you kind of think, Ryan's gone now, is he?
Yeah, I'd like to assume Ian Robertson is probably a Leeds fan, or maybe Forest in response to that, because he's certainly not a Kopite, because otherwise, that, you know, it's just proof that we live in their heads rent free.
I wouldn't get these sorts of comments just from coming out the ground. I could overhear a lot of comments from a lot of people, Nottingham Forest fans, saying that it was a fair result and that they played awful, and they said it was an awful game. And they also agreed that the referee was bad. So I don't know what game they were watching, but they had the rub of the green with all the decisions throughout the match. And the away fans were you know, we were wound up. I think ultimately I come away from that game disappointed that we haven't been able to see the game out professionally, away from home, get your goal, see the game out. We had 2 opportunities to do that and then punish them on the counter-attack. But also, you know, when you've got a bad ref who's letting people cipher Demarai Gray down, he didn't book the centre-back till the 88th minute or something. He can just keep doing it. And that would have really, if he'd have booked him earlier, I think we would have had more ability to punish them, but infuriated with it, Yann.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound, you know, maybe I'm preaching to the choir. Maybe it's just so frustrating for me to sit there and go, I don't want to talk about the refereeing. I want to talk about the football. But you are right. It's so frustrating. Gay in the last 10 minutes of the game, Gay was fouled by Dennis. And then where's the yellow card? When he made 2 fouls, it's just...
We should have beaten today.
Like you say, it's one of those where sometimes you look at it and, I mean, you can also say that, Godfrey got an early card, but it wasn't the last foul he did. So, he could have got a red at some point for a second foul. There was, I think it was just one of those where the refs kind of, I don't like blaming the refs for a result, because in the end, like, the decisions, we're always going to see it from our point of view.
Geof, we didn't lose. We didn't draw the game because of the ref. We threw it away because of
no, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is trying to look for, realistically, they got 2 chances and they took them because they've got a really good player there in Brennan Johnson, and we made a couple of small mistakes.
What about the likes of Iwobi and McNeil? I thought they were anonymous. They were the worst.
No. They were both really good. Really good, especially first half. They were all over.
We were very annoyed. I'm speaking as a collective away sort of support, because obviously we see the game in a different way. I thought that Iwobi and McNeil could have done more, and Decore and Onana. I mean, the second half, it felt like the second half we just faded. We faded in our ability.
And I think that, like I said, I put that partly down to the fact that, when you've got to go away to Arsenal on a Wednesday night, and then you've got to play at home away again on the Sunday, you could clearly tell that the second half we were still trying and we were still doing, we still broke forward and whatever, but you could see the legginess. But that's what 3 games in a week does to you. You look at Coleman, 3 games in a week. You look at you look at Iwobi, he was goosed. You could see he was goosed, but he was still trying. Decore
he was just gone.
Yeah, so I just think it's a case of they came into the game in the second half, but I don't think it was necessarily a case of we started playing badly in the second half. I just think it was a case of they upped their level. They clearly, they had a bit of a rocket at half time, and they come out with a bit more energy than us, and we fought and we defended really well. And eventually, I think a tired mistake by Decore gave them the ball away, and they broke quickly. And Brennan just killed it sweet in the top corner. He's a quality player. He really is.
But that's the confusing thing, by the way. It was okay. So the second one, where Coleman got taken down by, was it Colbeck or Yardley? I don't know who it was. But okay, so maybe the defender did enough, but we didn't even get the corner. It seems really strange.
Looked like a pen, and there were opportunities where we actually got to the byline in this game, like with the Coleman opportunities, like with Garner Gay. We got in behind the defence, and the final ball wasn't good. Or we did wait patiently for opportunities. And I'd say if I was to look for positives, we did control the ball better. We did play quite well. And it was too sloppy. One really sloppy mistake, and also I think the first one is just a bad. Is people not showing awareness? I think we've got a tendency to not engage, not to close down, engage. I'd like to see the goals back and actually see them from a different, because we've got the kind of the length view where it just looks like you need to cross. But I thought
they were. No, you're exactly right. Is there, you can clearly see that Sean Dyche has had an effect on the players overall in general terms. They are better organised, but there's still a slight mistake in there. There's still those there's still those little errors in there.
Conceded 8 goals in a week.
Yeah. But that's just because realistically, overall, we're not a very good team. Like, this is the level.
Defensively, we've got the balance right, and
No, but Dyche's only had like 3 weeks and he hasn't been able to bring anyone in. So he's literally trying to polish a turd, isn't it? Realistically, that he's trying to get the best he can out of what he's got, but he came into a club in a mess already. And, he's got sort of 2 wins and a draw out of his 5-6 games.
Yeah.
Which is an improvement on what we had before. So it's hard to criticise what he's done. And it's also, like I said, it's tough to criticise the players because they are giving everything they've got. They're just not at the level required because they don't have competition in certain areas. They don't have quality on the bench to bring on to change the game. We're just lacking.
4-4-2 there, because if Decore is that one who presses and has to kind of lead from the midfield coming into the front, why didn't maybe we bring on Sims or Mope? Because I thought Forest needed turning back the other way. When we asked questions of them, we looked like we were going to score. We carried a threat. When we sat off them and let them play.
We've got Graham Souness on here, who's probably only listened to it on Sky. Dived for the pen. Forest were robbed. Are you joking? Shelby got McNeil's foot. I don't know what game you're watching, John, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So, are we doing player ratings?
No, personally, I would just say that I thought that Coleman was good. Pickford was. I don't know about those goals where he parried the first one and the second one he can't do anything about. Coleman was good.
Commanding the box.
Yeah.
Keane looked good.
I think the only player that really disappointed me today, the only player I would dig out for any sort of seriously was Onana. I thought he was poor. I thought he was anonymous. I don't remember him really having much to do with the game.
The only thing he did was come over to the away fans and gesture before and after the game.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So yeah, he was the one player who I would say was disappointing. I think everyone else played a decent level.
I was impressed.
I thought Gordon. I thought Godfrey looked all right, considering that was his first game at left back for like a year or whatever it is, and his first game full stop for weeks, months even. Yeah,
so there'd be a lot of 6s and 7s, really, and maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah,
Coleman.
Yeah, I think so. I thought Gray looked decent. McNeil, if you watch it back, the game afterwards,
yeah,
he was moving around. He was popping up on the left. He was popping up on the right.
And we saw him on the right where he cut inside on his left foot and forced a save from Navas, taking a shot from 20 yards.
Yeah, he looked just Bieber in goal, and then he slipped on his ass. That Navas.
Yeah, so that we were moving the players about. Like I say, Iwobi was they were doing 1-2s with the fullbacks and getting down, getting in behind. We got them behind their defence so many times.
So what you're saying is the football was good. The football, and actually, it was good at times. It was very good football, but probably faded, and lack of a focal point in the second half didn't help. The referee allowing the game to be played in a certain way, and then not having the substitutions. But so really, it comes down to the 2 mistakes. So who's at fault for that then?
I mean, Decore for the second goal, he tried to pass it out of midfield and got caught on the ball. But you could tell it was a kind of a tired mistake. You could see that it was a tired mistake because up to that point, I think you could argue that probably up until that point, I would have had Decore as man of the match. I thought he was excellent. He was all over the place.
Very strange that when he dinked the ball over and then got cut off, blocked off, and then the referee waved away a foul there as well. That was one that we haven't mentioned.
There was loads, Yann. You could write a book about it. I mean, I've never been more frustrated in an away end there about fouls. He was blind. He was letting them kick lumps out of Gray and all of our players, and then the slightest little finger on your backside, and they'll land like a sack of spuds. It was very bad. Very bad refereeing. But
yeah,
you're
a lot
right.
of niggly stuff. Yeah.
That goal, second goal, I want to know what happened. It was very quick. And it just looked like he had
second goal
time to place it.
The second goal, we were caught. And then what it was is defence didn't push the ball out wide and let Yates, was it, go out? It wasn't Serge Aurier, but let Yates go out wide on the right to the edge of the box. Outside the side of the box, and then slide it in. And we didn't push. Oh no! Wait, am I confusing the goals here? Oh, I don't know. Just
it was basically a Iwobi. Decore tried to pass the ball. We basically won the ball back. I think they'd put the ball in, and we'd won the ball back, and we were trying to break. And Decore tried to move the ball inside, and one of their midfielders intercepted the ball and literally just passed it straight forward, and Brennan Johnson just moved to his left and just curled one in the top bins from sort of about 22, 23 yards. It was a really nice goal.
I felt like he was very close in the box around the penalty spot.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
maybe
you can give the ball away. You can't. You are going to make a mistake in the game, potentially giving the ball away. So where's the structure of the team to stop it the minute of Decore loses it? Why is that resulting in a goal just because of a bad pass?
Nikki's pointed out, terrible ref today. Her dad recalls that he sent a Wolves player off by mistake. Oh, it's that referee who sent the wrong player off and ended up being demoted to the Championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're at the mercy of PGMOL. LOL.
Yeah.
He was letting things like, when there was a foul in the box, he'd let the free kick get taken outside the box. That sort of thing. He was letting them do whatever they wanted.
There was an incident as well where Colbert or someone was all over Onana. Onana stood his ground and pushed back, and it was when it was happening during a corner or a free kick, some set piece. And Onana gave something back. The defender collapsed, and he just immediately gave Forrest a free kick. It's so frustrating to see that, and that sometimes
there's a lot of interesting points on this goal. Godfrey had to come across.
But that goal came from the fact that a foul wasn't given up the top of the pitch when the commentators, even biased Sky, were saying that Gay was fouled by Dent. It was clear. It was clearly a foul.
That was afterwards. That was after the goal was already scored.
Okay.
There was so many like that.
Yeah. But like I say, overall, I mean, it's a bit of a pill to swallow because I thought overall we played considering the level that we've been at this season. I still think that today was one of the better performances overall that we've had. I think the players gave everything except for the possible exception of Onana. I thought we created opportunities. We played really well. For the most part, we defended really well.
There was fantastic quick play of overlapping men, of playing it as a pivot man while one ran on.
I thought Keane played well.
The more
I thought
you're both right. You've got in the first half there, we played a lot of Coleman played a lot of nice balls into Iwobi, who would interchange with Decore and Garner and work it round. We kept the ball well. It's just why it seems
we look much more like an aside now. Like I said, it's if I'm going to really apportion blame, like I said, I don't apportion it to these players today, and I don't apportion it to the manager. We know where the problems lie, and they preceded the arrival of Dyche. If we'd have made the decision and got rid of Frank after the Bournemouth games, I think we'd be fine. I think he'd have had enough time, Dyche, and you can see what he's trying to do. We do look much better. Yeah, there's still mistakes in us, but he's only been here like 3 weeks. If he'd have been here for the 6 or 7 weeks of the World Cup, and then had all of this instilled into the players and got the fitness up and all of that ready for the start of the West Brom game. The Wolves game. I think we'd have probably got another 6, 8. We might have got 10 more points than we are now, and we'd be fine. And a draw today would look like a good result, because for a team that's probably in like 12th or 13th place, a point away from home is a good result. With a home game to come, you'd look at it and it's fine.
But Peter makes this point, and that's why I feel reluctant to do that. I don't want to be a broken record saying we can always blame referees for their mistakes, but why did Dyche just choose to sit back in the second half? For instance, I know you don't want to. If it ain't broke, don't.
I don't think he
Sorry,
did.
No. But what I'm trying to contextualize that from what I saw is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But they brought on 3 attackers, and we didn't immediately respond when we started to see signs of tiredness in our players, and. It's so frustrating.
I know, but the thing is that after they made the substitutions, if you actually think back on when they made the substitutions, we were still fine. Those subs came on, and they were on for a good 10 minutes, and it didn't really cause us any problems. So there wasn't. It didn't feel like there was any need to change, because it's like if they make 3 subs and we make three subs at the same time, it can totally disorganize the way that the game is flowing. And so I think he delayed with his subs because they made theirs, and he chose to keep the shape and keep the way we were playing, and we were doing all right. And like I said, it's just a poor mistake from Decore. And they were onto it in a flash, and suddenly, bang! It's 2-2. But other than that, we were coping pretty well. So it feels hard to kind of, Monday morning quarterback decisions, because hindsight's a wonderful thing, and we can all say, well, we should have done this and we should have done that after the fact.
That's the point I was going to make for that goal is because doesn't matter.
Forest were playing for fouls, to win fouls and then build momentum off the fouls, and then they were waiting for us to then drop deeper and getting the ball into Chris Wood, and we dealt with that well, and we won the second balls. It was when we then won it back in that second half, I just felt like there wasn't enough. And I said to some lad I was talking to at the ground, I said, 70 minutes, 72 minutes, 73 minutes, we needed to make a change. You could see Decore was flagging. You could see that Onana was nowhere to be seen. You could see
I still think it's a case of he looks at the bench and sees what he's got and thinks,
exactly.
It's a tough, from the manager's point of view. If you're playing really well and you're still winning the game, and they brought subs on, and you're still controlling the game, and you're looking at your bench for options of what to do to change things, and you're seeing a kid who's basically been injured since he got here. You're seeing a player who's out of contract in the summer because nobody wants him. You're seeing a striker who doesn't score goals. They're your options. And I can understand why he was reluctant to make changes, because any changes he made were going to be negative. They were just going to be negative. They're not going to improve the side, because the options we've got on the bench are just poor.
No, I contest that on one count. Seeing that Decore was maybe knackered, or maybe Onana wasn't doing the job, potentially. The one substitution that I think that we should have seen was James Garner.
Yeah, but he hasn't played a game of football in months.
He played for the under-23s, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's a whole different level of football, and we know that. So that's what I said is, you can argue and say, well, yeah, maybe James Garner might have been a good substitution, but that's a bit like saying bringing Sims into the derby. There's a level to a certain player, and if you're bringing someone in who hasn't played a game of first team football in months and months, who's barely trained with the team, who's had a couple of run-outs with the under-21s, that's not necessarily a proactive change. It's a risk. It could go horribly wrong. He could come on and just be lost, and then we could have ended up losing the game 3-2.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult, from his point of view, from the manager's point of view. What he had on the pitch was the best he had, and it wasn't going to get better by making a sub.
You assume he starts the game with that, yeah. So especially when you're 2-1 up, or you go 1-0 up, 1-1, 2-1, and then you hold on to it, especially after the first 5 or 10 minutes of the second half, when a team that are at home, that are a goal down, normally come out all guns blazing. It's but yeah, that's the point. You could have got something out of somebody for the last 15 or 20 minutes as an impact sub or a fresh set of legs. Because the issue for me was, I was watching the end of the game, and I thought we were playing well, we were defending, we were holding it, but we weren't being as... There was not as much intent as there was earlier in the game, and it seemed like we stepped back. That we weren't being. We were sort of standing around, and rather than running into space or trying to play those passes forward, it was like, no, I'm going to stand 30 yards out in that sort of crescent around the goal and the box, and just pass it around.
The players to get slightly defensive, isn't it, when you're trying to hold on to a lead when you're coming under pressure? So,
but you don't have to. But maybe this is me not being a footballer and being a football supporter and watcher, is that it's easier to hold on to a win if you're pushing for a third goal than it is when you're only one goal up.
Yeah. Again, like I say, that comes down to, like, how brave are you? How much these players have been losing games consistently for the whole season. They've been struggling, and the desperation to get something, it probably does affect the mindset. And like I say, Dyche has come in and he's trying to change things, but it always takes time. And there's a tendency to revert back to type and go a little bit defensive when you're under pressure. Which isn't to say that's the right thing to do, but it's a case of, it's just natural. It's natural when you're looking at a possible 3 points. Maybe you get a little bit less brave and a little bit more cautious, and maybe that's not the right thing to do. Maybe we should have gone all out for a third goal, but then you risk conceding and losing the game completely. So it's hard to get into the headspace of the mentality of the players, and
we weren't allowed to build any momentum in the second half because the ref decided.
And we've got and the opposition as well. We've got to give credit to they haven't lost more than,
they've got a good home record.
They've only lost one game at home all season, I think, or two.
They didn't play that well. They didn't really offer a whole lot for us.
But that's credit to us as well. I think that we started the game really quickly.
But they
did generic sort of stadium. There's nothing special about the atmosphere there. Certainly.
But they did do what we expected. They were looking kind of dangerous on the break, on the counter.
Yeah.
But we were in control a lot of it. We were in control of a lot of it, and we just lost to two sloppy.
Like I say, I'm loath to be too overly critical of the team after a result. Because
let's move on. Let's move on.
I think we did as well as we could do, and I thought we played quite well. And we can nitpick and pick holes, but I still think overall the situation we're in dictates how we feel about the result. Because, if we were in mid-table, I'd walk away from this game thinking that was really good. We played quite well. We created chances.
A point away from home against a team that have had some very good results against some very good teams at home. Yeah, absolutely. And I understand where you're coming from. And it's just the desperation of our situation where we know, especially from being in front twice. Kevin makes a very good point. Yeah. So what, do we move on and talk about the next game?
No, I just think do the comment.
Yeah. No, I want to watch the. I want to watch the. I want to watch the other game of footy. I mean,
haven't got anything
my
else
phone is overheating as well.
I personally haven't got anything else to say about this.
No.
I think we've covered it all.
It's just like sort of a numb, depressing sort of, oh, we should have won, but then it's one of those. It's like, you know,
deflated a bit upset.
One of those things.
Yeah,
well, if I can just turn the TV to Sky Sports, I might be able to give you. I've got BBC Sport on my phone, and it's saying that it's 0-0 at the moment at Anfield. But let me just have a double check.
I need to drive home. I've got 100 bloody miles to do.
Oh well, you better do it. It is.
Hopefully, the quiet traffic will have quieted down a bit.
It is 0-0. Oh, and Gakpo has just committed quite a bad foul on. It looks like Ericsson.
Excellent. Right.
So United have got a free kick on the left from about.
Yeah, we don't care about that. Right. So let's wrap this up.
As usual, thank you everybody for your comments, for taking part, for leading us on a merry dance when we often don't know the steps that we're taking. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Do like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and I will just put up down the bottom, as I have done for most of this, if you want the chance to win 2 tickets to see Everton versus Brentford. Subscribe, like, all the usual stuff, but visit our page, follow Everton on Twitter, retweet, and there is a chance for 2 tickets sat side by side. If you fancy a little bit of what's the opposite of self-love? Masochism. There we go.
Watching us dominating a home game and winning and getting some points.
I think we can. On the evidence of this game today, I think we'll do Brentford. Yeah, because hopefully. I think the thing that makes us make the mistake is the tiredness and the crowd kind of just getting on your back when they've got the ref and stuff. I think you can crumble. It does make me suspicious how we ended up losing a lot of these games to these sides at home, though, when we actually have the crowd behind us and we have the Goodison.
Because the manager didn't know what he was doing. Clearly, the manager didn't know what he was doing. Yes, I am throwing Frank under the bus, and I don't care. I hated him. I wanted him gone for like months. Didn't even want him in the first place. So, yeah.
Anyway,
I'm going to die on this. I'm going to die on this hill. Up the fucking Toffees. Catch you all later.
On that note, thanks, Geoff. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, regulars. Thanks, new. Thanks for people joining us.
Nice one.
They get a lot of goals from the penalty spot area, someone just said. And Ivan Toney will clean up. So that's what we've got to... We'll talk about that in our match preview.
Saturday, 3:00, Everton versus Brentford on the 11th. I will probably see you there, Ryan.
I'm not going on a stag do. I'm not actually going to that game.
Are you performing at a stag do, or are you...
No, I'm on it.
Going to a stag do?
I'm on it! So I won't be on the match.
Give it the large one.
Or the pre-match. I'll be back for the following match.
Look, based on our situation, it was frustrating, but a point away from home on a team that, it is what it is. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Love you all, and as always,
up the fucking Toffees.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you later, guys. Bye.